Hello and welcome. My name is Michael, and this month, at the last minute I must confess, I thought I'd bring in some long-form content to complement the monthly June affirmations. This is a new channel, and whilst I have some other things cooking up in the background for it, it really helps if people like, comment and subscribe. Otherwise the content will get buried and you never know when somebody might need to hear something today. Anyway, let's start with June 3, which is the full moon in Sagittarius. Now this represents a time of culmination, expansion and exploration. It's a period when our emotions and desires align with the Sagittarian qualities of freedom, adventure and seeking higher truth. During this full moon, we'll likely feel drawn to expand our horizons and embrace new experiences that really broaden our perspective of things. It's a time of optimism, enthusiasm and really a desire for personal growth. We might feel inspired to embark on a new journey, be it physical, intellectual or even spiritual. But overall, expect to find a sense of meaning, gain some clarity and really align with our authentic beliefs and values. The tarot card associated with the decan of Sagittarius is the Nine of Wands. Now, this card represents resilience, courage and perseverance in the face of challenge. It signifies the need to stay determined and focused. What it reminds us is to draw upon our inner strength and really continue pushing forward towards our goals despite any setbacks or difficulties that we may encounter. And when we draw this card, it tells us to have faith in our ability, to trust that we have the power to overcome obstacles that come our way. It also symbolizes the spirit of, adventure, optimism, and really the willingness to explore new horizons with what can only be described as unwavering determination. So today, Venus will gracefully, as she does, enter the charismatic sign of Leo, and this marks the beginning of an extended stay given her upcoming retrograde in July. So typically Venus only spends weeks to a month at most in each zodiac sign. However, in 2023 Venus blesses Leo with her presence, and it really is for an extraordinary duration of approximately 4 months, till October 9 in fact. This prolonged visit really amplifies the influence of Venus in Leo, and it's really an aspect that infuses our lives with radiant energy and captivating charm. That being said, the opposition in this transit may bring forth some intense energies and really transformative dynamics in relationships and personal values. We may experience some power struggles, hidden desires may come to the surface, and really the need to assert our individuality within partnerships. There is also the potential for deep emotional and psychological transformations that can lead to profound growth and empowerment. This aspect really urges us to confront and release any patterns of control, manipulation or possessiveness in our relationships. It demands that we honor our own needs and boundaries whilst also respecting the autonomy of others. It invites us to explore our desires and our passions and creative self-expression, but without compromising our authenticity. Venus in Leo really encourages us to seek love, attention, and validation. Pluto in Aquarius calls for basically radical transformation and liberation from societal norms. This opposition, though, what it does is it's highlighting the tension between this need for individual self-expression, but also against the collective expectations. This is why it prompts us to question and challenge existing power structures, the social constructs and traditional relationship dynamics. So really, to navigate this transit, it's essential to engage in open and honest communication, both with ourselves and with our partners. June 7, I really like this aspect. When the moon enters Aquarius, it signifies a shift in emotional energy towards a more independent and unconventional perspective. Aquarius is a air sign, and it's known for its intellectual and innovative nature. But Aquarius also emphasizes objectivity and a rational approach to feelings. Now, if the lessons from June 5th, previously spoken about, are understood, you may find yourself less reactive and more emotionally analytical rather than being overwhelmed. This can really provide a fresh perspective and allow you to approach situations with a more of a level-headed mindset. As the moon moves through this sign, you may feel a desire to express yourself more authentically. Really, it's about embracing your quirks and individuality. It's really a favorable time to explore your own interests and, really pursue personal passions. Whilst it can be considered a emotionally detached sign, Aquarius does have some social conscience, in particular humanitarian values and social causes. So during this transit, you may feel more attuned to societal issues and have a greater desire to contribute to positive change. Engaging in community-orientated activities, supporting charitable causes, or just collaborating with like-minded individuals can be really fulfilling during this time. So it will likely be one or both of these activities we feel drawn to during the week. June 9, Mercury in Taurus, sextile Neptune in Pisces. So this sextile really creates a harmonious and supportive aspect that blends the practicality of Taurus with the dreamy and intuitive energy of Pisces. Now, sextiles are formed when two planets are 60 degrees apart. The angle creates what is considered a really sweet and flowing connection between the planets involved, and it's also often thought to bring ease and favorable circumstances. Unlike some other aspects, such as the conjunction or opposition, sextiles don't create intense or challenging dynamics. Instead, what they do is represent a natural affinity and understanding between planets, and this allows them to complement each other's energies. So this transit builds upon the first week of June, as our thinking likely becomes more imaginative and intuitive. We might find it easier to tap into our creativity and access our subconscious mind for inspiration. Our intuition, as mentioned, is heightened, and this allows us to receive insights and messages from a deeper level of consciousness. Now, if we are drawn to mystical pursuits, it's those that bring a sense of connection with the divine. So Just general things like meditation and visualization is favorable. In fact, any form of inner work that helps us connect with our higher selves through regular spiritual practice is only going to be beneficial in the long run. This aspect can really enhance our ability to manifest our visions and dreams into tangible reality. It helps us combine, shall we say, practical goals and aspirations with our spiritual and imaginative inclinations, and find those practical solutions to problems by tapping into our intuitive wisdom and relying on our inner guidance. Nikola Tesla said it best, I think. He said, my brain is only a receiver. In the universe, there is a core from which we obtain knowledge, strength, and inspiration. I have not penetrated into the secrets of this core, but I know that it exists. So overall, Mercury in Taurus, Sextile Neptune in Pisces, it's a time of heightened intuition, compassionate communication, and really the blending of practicality with spiritual insight. It's inviting us to embrace both our logical mind, but also our intuitive wisdom, which allows us to navigate life with greater clarity and empathy. So moving on to June 11, there are two important aspects happening today. And the first is when Pluto goes retrograde and enters Capricorn. And again, this signifies a furthering of that intense transformation and introspection process. Now, retrograde motion amplifies Pluto's influence, and it brings about a deep examination of power dynamics, structures, and systems in our lives. It prompts us to reassess our ambitions and goals and the ways in which we exert control. But it also encourages us to confront our fears, our shadow aspects, and really outdated patterns that hinder our personal growth. Now, the second aspect is Mercury entering Gemini. Now, Mercury is never more than 28 degrees from the Sun, and it takes approximately 88 days to complete its orbit. Only back on May 21st, the Sun left Taurus, and it remains in the sign of the Twins until June 21. So we're in the middle of Gemini season, and now Mercury enters. And when Mercury enters Gemini, it signifies a time of heightened mental activity, communication, and really intellectual curiosity. Mercury rules Gemini and Virgo plus the third and sixth house, so it will accordingly feel at home, which amplifies the qualities of versatility, agility, and adaptability. Something to consider is the devout followers of Roman religion, where artists drew inspiration from Hermes, the fleet-footed messenger of the gods. These artists depicted Mercury adorned with winged sandals, which signified his ability to move quickly and efficiently through his connection to the element of air. So expect this airy surge to lead into engaging conversations and learning new things. People may find themselves more social and especially talkative. It really is a favourable time for networking and making connections and sharing our ideas with others. But before getting too carried away, we need to remember to acknowledge the duality of Gemini, and that is the struggle to reconcile and express both sides of the twins' personality split. There is a tendency to suppress or excessively swing between these contrasting aspects. Normally, this might be considered as unacknowledged facets that we project onto others, but under this aspect, it's likely the usual heaviness from confrontation with the dark twin or shadow is merely the potential of becoming scattered or overly talkative given the abundance of this big brain energy that we have. So moving on to June 13, what I've done here is combined it with June 14 because there are two aspects here and the way that they rub off on each other is quite interesting. So June 13, when we have the moon entering Taurus, it generally indicates a time of increased focus on material possessions, security, stability. Yet when the moon is in Taurus and forms a square aspect with Mars and Leo, which it will on June 14, it creates a dynamic and potentially challenging combination of energies. The focal point here is the square aspect. Now, when planets form a square aspect, they are in effect 90 degrees apart and they're operating with conflicting intentions, leading to potential overexertion and numerous obstacles before we find the right balance. So let's compare both the June 13 and 14 aspects. So the first thing here is emotional stability versus fiery assertiveness. Now, the moon in Taurus promotes this emotional stability. It seeks comfort. It wants to maintain a sense of security. But in contrast, Mars in Leo brings forth assertiveness, a passion and desire for self-expression. The square aspect between the moon and Mars may also create some tension between the need for emotional stability and the drive for assertiveness and personal desires. We have relaxed sensuality versus impulsive actions. Starting again with the Taurus moon, we're emphasizing sensuality, taking pleasure in the world, the physical world that is, and really cultivating a relaxed approach. If you think of the bull in the field, he's just chilling out there. Mars in Leo, on the other hand, it really encourages bold and sometimes impulsive actions that are driven by personal desires and really that need for recognition. The square aspect, it really generates a friction between this Taurian desire for indulgence, yet the impulsive actions that also arise from Mars and Leo lead to this conflict. Resistance to change versus, shall we say, ego expression. So both Taurus and Leo, as I'm sure many people know, can exhibit a certain amount of stubbornness and resistance to change. The Taurus moon prefers stability and it can really be slow to adapt, whilst Mars and Leo craves the attention and wants to assert its ego. Again, the square aspect may intensify the struggle between this need for maintaining stability and expressing individuality, and this could shape up to look like a conflict or a power struggle somewhere. Nurturing versus assertive leadership. So the Taurus moon, it promotes nurturing and creating a secure environment for oneself and one's loved ones. Mars and Leo, on the other hand, it really highlights assertive leadership qualities and a need for self-empowerment. Now, the square aspect here can challenge the balance between nurturing others and asserting one's own needs and desires. A final thing to look at is calm versus impatience. The Taurus moon, when in its pleasure zone or in its calmness, it prefers a patient nature. Mars in Leo generally is more impulsive and more impatient. So here the square aspect may create inattention between the Taurian desire to maintain a steady pace and the impatient or impulsiveness that arises from Mars and Leo. So overall, how do we look at these 2 days? So June 13 is a day for desire, for comfort and pleasure, as well as a need to connect with nature and really indulge in sensory experiences in preparation for June 14, when the moon in Taurus squares Mars in Leo, which brings together our need for emotional stability, but also the drive for personal assertiveness and self-expression. So it's really creating a push-pull dynamic between these energies, challenging the balance between personal desires and emotional security. Okay, moving on to June 15. Mercury in Gemini square Saturn in Pisces. Another pretty crappy day. It's an additional square, and again, it's creating tension between communication and restriction. Saturn has an influence of discipline, structure, and limitations lurk, really, which interrupts our clear expression thanks to an increased sense of self-doubt or pessimism. Now, it could feel like our thoughts are clouded, or we might struggle to find the right words to express ourselves, most likely due to the difficulties in receiving or processing information. There might be a tendency to overanalyze or become overly critical of our ideas and opinions. But, despite these challenges, this aspect also offers an opportunity for growth and learning. It encourages us to slow down and be patient and take more of a disciplined approach to our communication. So to navigate this aspect effectively, we need to practice patience, be self-reflective and positively constructive with our self-expression. June 17. So Saturn retrograde in Pisces is a time for introspection. It's a time for reflection and internal evaluation of our structures, responsibilities, and limitations. The retrograde really urges us to examine our spiritual and emotional foundations. We need to address unresolved issues or, subconscious patterns that hinder our growth. So during this period, we may experience a sense of restriction or delay. And what this does is it encourages us to reassess our commitments and look to align them with our higher purpose. Now, what we want to do here is draw upon the strength of the Pisces influence. Now, Pisces invites us to confront our fears, heal our past wounds, and really cultivate a deeper connection with our intuition and spirituality. Today is really about a transformative phase that facilitates personal growth, but also the integration of our spiritual and material lives. So moving to June 18, you're probably feeling pretty battle weary by now. The Sun in Gemini square Neptune in Pisces brings a really complex dynamic between the rational, communicative nature of Gemini and the dreamy, idealistic energy of Neptune in Pisces. Here, the Sun represents our core essence and identity, but Neptune symbolizes illusions, spirituality, and a disillusion of boundaries. So today we need to be cautious about the potential for confusion, deception from others, or deception from ourselves. The square aspect signifies a clash again or conflict, and it indicates here that there may be a struggle between the clear logical thinking of Gemini and the mystical, elusive qualities of Neptune. So misunderstandings, misinformation, or even self-delusion can occur. Now, under this transit, we need to practice discernment and critical thinking. It's going to be crucial to question information. We need to verify facts and really avoid jumping to conclusions, as Neptune's influence can blur boundaries and really create a foggy type of atmosphere. It is important to strive for clarity in conversations and ensure that your messages are being received accurately. Now, the self-delusion that I alluded to earlier is likely due given the heightened awareness of escapism and the temptation to avoid reality. Neptune's influence can make it easy to get lost in fantasies or daydreams or illusions. So consider grounding practices or engaging in practical tasks that can maintain a sense of reality and prevent being swept away by our unrealistic ideas or expectations. Additionally, though, you can use this to your advantage. If you feel creative and spiritually inspired, this aspect gives you VIP access to deeper intuitive and imaginative realms. So artists and writers may find inspiration during this time, but at the end of the day, channel this energy constructively if you can. Try to avoid getting lost in unproductive or deceptive ventures. Tomorrow is better. On June 19, we have Jupiter in Taurus, sextile Saturn in Pisces, which brings a sense of optimism here and a harmonious alignment between expansion and structure, but also abundance and discipline. It's a favorable aspect that offers opportunities for growth, stability, and long-term success. Here, Jupiter represents expansion, optimism, and abundance in the structural, responsible, and disciplinary aspects of Saturn. So when these two planets form a sextile aspect, they work together synergistically. They blend their energies to create a balanced and supportive influence. This combination, it encourages practical growth and, shall we say, realistic optimism. And that assists with, our manifestation of our dreams and aspirations, because it provides the necessary discipline, focus, and determination. Can you take a calculated risk? Sure, yeah. If you've worked on strategic plans and really diligently working towards your goals, it's an environment that we feel a sense of stability and security to really build those endeavors, the solid foundations that give us long-term success. So overall, expect a really melodious, if you will, blend of expansion and structure, goal manifestation of latent aspirations in a practical and sustainable way. It's a time to embrace opportunities, really work hard with determination, and make those wise choices that lead to long-term growth and fulfillment. When Juno enters Cancer, it brings a shift in the dynamics of committed relationships or partnerships. Juno represents the qualities and dynamics that we seek in long-term partnerships, with Cancer being the nurturing and emotionally sensitive sign. The combination of the two highlights the importance of emotional connection, importance of family, and the importance of security within our relationships. To understand this at an individual level, Juno's influence in a person's chart is of course dependent on placement. So, for example, Juno in fire signs may suggest a desire for passion, independence, and excitement in relationships, whereas Juno in earth signs may indicate a need for stability and practicality, reliability, whereas Juno in air signs may reflect a preference for intellectual stimulation and communication. And finally, Juno in water signs may signify the classic emotional connection and sensitivity, real depth in our relationships. So generally speaking, during Juno's transit through Cancer, there is a increased emphasis on creating a sense of emotional safety and security within partnerships. Now, this may manifest as a stronger desire for commitment to bring about that stability, which then in turn provides comfort and support. There really is a greater focus on the emotional needs of both partners, but also a willingness to nurture and care for each other on a deep level. Juno in Cancer also highlights the significance of home and family in relationships. There may be a great burning desire to establish a really harmonious and nurturing domestic environment where partners can feel emotionally connected and supported. This transit really can encourage couples to prioritize quality time spent together at home and create that sense of emotional sanctuary within their shared space. In terms of challenges, Juno in Cancer may bring up issues related to emotional vulnerability and the need for reassurance, or even just plain old emotional validation within relationships. There might be a tendency to also become overly sensitive or emotional reactive thanks to Cancer's energies and influence, and that can lead to conflicts if not addressed. It's important to communicate openly and honestly about our emotional needs, but provide a safe space for each other. So overall, Juno's entry into Cancer really invites us to explore the deeper emotional dimensions of committed relationships. Juno is encouraging us to prioritize emotional connection, security, but also to nurture partnerships to create that loving and supportive home environment. On June 26, the aspect of Mars in Leo squares Uranus in Taurus, which brings a dynamic and potentially volatile energy. Here, Mars represents action, assertion, and drive, while Uranus represents change, rebellion, and unexpected events. When these two planets form a square aspect, there is a tension between the need for personal expression, but also the desire for stability and security. So what to expect? Expect exacerbated feelings of independence and freedom. There really is a drive to break free from restrictions or pursue unconventional paths. It can ignite a rebellious spirit and a need to assert one's individuality. It's the clash between Mars and Leo's, say, fiery and dramatic nature, Uranus in Taurus's grounded and stable energy that creates this conflict and sudden disruption. So caution should be exercised today to avoid impulsive or reckless behavior that could intensify or escalate. We need to consider the consequences of actions and find ways to express ourselves assertively yet responsibly. Additionally, we may feel a need to reevaluate values and desires. Sudden changes or unexpected events can challenge existing structures and routines, and that urges us to embrace new perspectives, if not challenges us, and look at how we can adapt to shifting circumstances. So flexibility and open-mindedness are really key to navigating the tensions between personal drive and the need for stability. Being open to innovative approaches to problem solving and the new possibilities that may arise during this time, even if it's an unconscious acknowledgement of what is happening around us, will it really help us to be prepared for unexpected events and allowing patience and finding a way to ground and stabilize our energy. So yesterday continues into today, obviously, but with a new harmonious and dynamic energy that really blends emotion with action and communication. There's an air of June 5th and 11th energy here as we seek to balance and harmonize our relationships and interactions with others, particularly with, you could say, is an improved use of our social skills. And this is likely due to the previous aspects mentioned and our new understanding that channeling our emotions into productive actions leads to positive outcomes in our personal and professional relationships. We all have the ability to articulate our needs and desires with clarity and charm, and this makes it easier to connect and collaborate with others. It's an opportune time to engage in teamwork or negotiations, given that cooperation during this transit also promotes a sense of intellectual stimulation and curiosity. And this can fuel our motivation to learn and explore new ideas. So if you find yourself overly eager to exchange knowledge and perspectives, you'll now understand why. So there are probably three key takeaways here. The first is to cultivate harmony in relationships. So the moon in Libra encourages balance and harmony. So focus on fostering peace, cooperation, and fairness in your interactions. Try to be attentive to the needs and perspectives of others and strive to find mutually beneficial solutions. Try to avoid those confrontations or conflicts and instead look for compromises and understanding. So the second thing is to seek intellectual stimulation. Now the Mars and Gemini aspect ignites our intellectual curiosity, expand our knowledge, explore new subjects, and engage in stimulating conversations, but also embrace opportunities for learning and growth, be it through study or attending workshops or engaging in thought-provoking discussions. And the third thing is embody flexibility and adaptability. Gemini and Libra are flexible signs, which frees us to be open to new ideas and possibilities, adapt to changing circumstances, and be willing to adjust your approach when necessary. On June 30, Neptune will be retrograde until the 6th of December and will signify a time of introspection, reflection, and spiritual exploration. Neptune is the planet of dreams, illusions, and higher consciousness, and entering retrograde motion in its ruling sign of Pisces can have a profound impact on our inner world and spiritual growth. We have already had two specific influences of Neptune this month, and that was the harmonious sextile on the 9th and our battle-weary square on the 18th, two very different energies. So let's have a look at the key insights into this transit. So the first thing is a deepening of spiritual connection. Neptune retrograde in Pisces invites us to delve deep into our spiritual practice and connect with the divine realm. It's a time to explore meditation, introspection, and any other spiritual activity that helps align with our higher self. The transit also encourages us to really seek meaning and transcendence beyond the material world around us. The second thing is the unveiling of illusions and fantasies. So we spoke about this briefly before, but Neptune's retrograde motion really prompts us to again question illusions and fantasies that may have clouded our perception, but this time with greater scrutiny. Its energy invites us to see through self-deception with absolute clarity, so we gain a more realistic understanding of ourselves and the world around us. The third thing is healing and releasing emotional patterns. Pisces is a deeply emotional sign and can facilitate healing and release, encouraging us to confront our subconscious patterns, fears, and unresolved emotions. And Pisces is here to help us really let go of what no longer serves us and move towards emotional freedom and healing. And the fourth and final thing is seeking spiritual truth and inspiration. The retrograde encourages us to seek spiritual truth and inspiration in our lives by inviting us to explore spiritual philosophy, engage in mystical practices, and deepen our connection with the divine. Again, as with any practice, especially in this transit, it's important to maintain that grounded approach and balance the ethereal influences of Neptune with practicality and discernment. So use the retrograde period to gain insight. Use it to heal and connect with your higher self, and allow Neptune's energy to guide you towards spiritual expansion and personal transformation. So that is the end of this long form look at the month of June. I hope this helps with the understanding of where the monthly affirmations come from, and there was something in it for you that differs from the rest. Again, feel free to help the channel out by giving a like or follow. It's free. Cheers.